Crews struggling to contain an East County brush fire possibly caused by a plane crash. 10 News looking into why some refer to this area as Death Mountain.
Plus, a new study suggests the temporary homeless shelters are not nearly as effective as the city had once hoped. The surprisingly low number of people transitioning to permanent housing. And
DMV speakers blaring in Hillcrest, waking up neighbors.
Now serving VR4527.
Why they say their complaints are being ignored.
But we begin with this brush fire that crews are struggling to contain in the East County. It is burning in the Vulcan Mountains.
And that is the same area where a small plane crashed last night. Here is a map showing you where this is. It's just north of the 78 in Ranchita. 10 News reporter Ariel Wessler is out there live right now. This area is known as Death Mountain, Ariel.
Yeah, Kimberly, I'm here at the incident command post for CAL FIRE, and as you can see, the winds, this is just one thing pilots are dealing with, the winds and low visibility in this area often because of the low cloud ceiling. And as strong as the winds are here, picture this, it is even worse in the mountains right now for firefighters. Flames shoot into the night sky after a plane crash Thursday evening.
It's narrow, steep access. So we had a hard time getting crews up there.
About 70 firefighters are working to contain the flames, but with winds topping 40 miles an hour, they can't drop water from the air.
The ridgetop winds have hampered our firefighting efforts all day today by pushing the fire around, keeping our aircraft from being effective.
This is a picture from FlightAware of the small plane that crashed. It's a twin-engine Beechcraft Duchess with 4 seats and is mainly used by flight schools. This one was registered to Scandinavian Aviation Academy at Gillespie Field in El Cajon. It goes by SAA. They declined to comment on the crash. Vulcan Mountain is infamous among locals for its nickname Death Mountain because of the number of crashes here. One resident even reportedly remembered at least 9 on the mountain since 1993. Once it's safe for the FAA to get to the crash site, they will investigate. Last check, this fire is 12 acres and now 30% contained. So firefighters are making progress from when we talked to you at 4 o'clock. The good news, it is not threatening any homes or structures, but CAL FIRE tells me they do plan on having crews there through the night. Live in Julian, Ariel Wessler, 10 News.
Ariel, thank you. And you could see how windy it was out there where Ariel is right now. And as he said, that wind is making it difficult for firefighters to really get a handle on the flames.
And meteorologist Angelica Campos is giving us now a better look at how strong the wind is and which direction it's coming from.
You know, one of the things we often say is like it must be easy to predict conditions in San Diego, but one of the most difficult things is actually the wind. When it comes to mountainous terrain, it changes the entire scenario. You can get rolling winds, you can get some pressure changes, and that speeds up the wind. We even have a wind advisory right now, which would be the last thing you want on a day when you have a fire. The wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour, but they can be as high as 50. And when you go into those higher peaks, there's less friction of the wind, so the speed is much greater. And also when you start changing the terrain, that can also make the winds go higher. So we've had reports between 30-50 miles per hour, and on top of that, it's also pretty gloomy right now with low visibility.
Angelica, thank you. Well, tonight, Oceanside police are searching for this man. He's a person of interest in a home invasion that sent a 64-year-old woman to the hospital. The attack happened on Wednesday, right in the middle of the day. Several neighbors told 10 News they saw a man on a red bicycle in the neighborhood during that time, and they've taken to the Nextdoor app to warn each other to be on the lookout for anyone suspicious.
It's a tragedy that people like this exist, that come in your home and hurt people, you know.
Again, police are saying the man in the video is just a person of interest. They're not calling him a suspect, but they do want to talk to him. Tonight at 7, the quirk in the neighborhood's layout that makes it extra vulnerable to criminals. And this map shows you the crime in that area. It's pretty rare. You can see how few there have been over the last month at least. From home invasions to assaults, you can check crime trends right where you live. Go to 10news.com and click on the crime tracker link. It's right there on the homepage.
When the city of San Diego announced that it would open 3 temporary bridge shelters for the homeless last year, it had ambitious goals.
They wanted to get 65% of the people in the tents into permanent housing. And our 10 News reporter Matt Boone digs into a recent report that reveals the city is nowhere close to meeting that goal.
There's been nights I've waited, look around, it's like, I just can't believe I'm here.
Jamison Banka and Sharon Buckingham are one of the success stories.
Because I feel like I'm happier being inside.
Both were homeless for several years.
But out there, I wasn't safe.
But they found a temporary home in the Bridge Tent in Barrio Logan, and in March, transitioned into their own apartment, paying with disability benefits.
If it wasn't for them, I'd still be stuck out there.
Them being the Alpha Project, which runs the tent in Barrio Logan. They've been responsible for the majority of the transitions, placing 57 people into permanent housing from December through March. The other two tents have moved 46 others, bringing the total to 94. But with 946 people having left the tents, that means fewer than 10% of those served have left to permanent housing.
We just spent a lot of money to perpetuate homelessness.
That's Michael McConnell, a homeless advocate who's been critical of the city's temporary shelter plan.
You're taking money from the solutions pot and putting it into the Band-Aid pot. That's an old strategy. It's failed us over and over and over.
He says he expected the city would not hit the 65% goal, saying there has not been a big enough investment in the real solution, increasing the stock of affordable housing.
When you invest in one part of the system, what did you do to the other part of the system? Did you just create a bigger bottleneck?
In Barrio Logan, Matt Boone, 10 News.
A spokesperson for the mayor's office tells 10 News the goal was made off data they now realize was inaccurate. They are currently undergoing a third-party analysis they say will help them make adjustments to the tent operations. Father Joe's Villages has an extra $900,000 to help homeless children in San Diego. The organization raised the money at last weekend's Children's Charity Gala. 10 News reporter Steve Fiorina was there and sent us this photo. The money raised will go towards services, including housing, meals, and medical care.
Governor Jerry Brown's latest budget proposal includes major funding to ease our homeless crisis. The new surplus estimates that $8.8 billion, that is. That's up from January's estimate of $6.1 billion. And Governor Brown wants to spend $359 million of it on homelessness. If the budget is approved, that money would be available to local governments immediately. State lawmakers have until June 15th to send the governor their spending plan. 2 local politicians are headed to Washington, D.C. next week to talk about our sanctuary laws with President Trump. The president is meeting with Escondido Mayor Sam Abbott and County Supervisor Kristen Gaspar. The mayor is an immigrant himself and looking forward to the meeting.
Escondido has had a success story in coordinating with ICE and deporting illegal criminals from our community, and I am looking forward to sharing our success story and policies with the president and Washington.
Gaspar and Abbott both strongly support the federal lawsuit challenging California's sanctuary laws. The drunk driver accused of killing a Lyft driver near downtown San Diego will face murder and manslaughter charges for a second time. Stephen Quintero was found guilty of DUI last month, but the jury could not reach a verdict on his murder or manslaughter charges. Quintero is accused of swerving into Henry Reyes on the side of the 94. Reyes had gotten out of his car to help a sick passenger. Quintero will be back in court next month. It's prom season, and city leaders want to make all students celebrate the milestone safely. They announced the start of Operation Safe Prom today. The countywide effort alerts students and parents to the risk of underage drinking and the penalties that can come with it. Police will be stepping up DUI checkpoints and patrols, as well as enforcing social host ordinances. All right, now to a follow-up on a breaking news story that we first brought you last night on 10 News at 11 p.m. The firefighter injured battling a business fire in Barrio Logan is back home tonight. He was hospitalized after coming into contact with an electric fence. No one else was injured. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Military families in San Diego will get to spend Mother's Day together following a 3-month deployment. Sailors aboard the USS Dewey and the USS Sterett arrived at Naval Base San Diego today. The destroyers were deployed in the Philippine seas, where crews conducted maritime security operations.